that's kind of took a little turn in that direction.
Well, okay. So talk a little bit more about that. Like you literally had to have reconstructive surgery and stuff done because you were so messed. Like it crushed you basically.
Yes, I mean, I at the moment of the wreck, I remember coming to, and I wasn't really aware of the passenger immediately. And my hands were broken, the ribs were broken, the face. I didn't know how bad the face was at that moment, but I started to move and figured I can't get out. And maybe I'll wait. Maybe someone will come by, they'll drive by or something. It felt like an eternity. And, no one came. And so, you kind of start to become more aware of what's going on. And I looked over at my passenger, and she was on the dash. Face was toward me, eyes were open, and it was obvious she was not there. It was bad. And at that moment, talk about a perspective change, that changed my perspective. And that's what I got, probably damaged myself more. It's an emotional thing for me.
Sure.
Getting out of that car than what the car did to me, because I had to get out at that point. And I walked, found a house, knocked on the door. The lady opened the door, and she had a look of shock on her face. And that's when I was like, I touched my face and just looked down. Her porch was covered in blood. And I was just like, I just had a wreck right in front of your house. Could you call emergency services? And went back out to the car to try to help the passenger. Ambulance shows up. The guy touched me on the shoulder. He told me this later. I didn't know, but he's like, yeah, I walked up to you and I was trying to care for the passenger. And when he touched my shoulder, I looked and just passed out. Woke up in the hospital. So trauma in multiple areas there.
Yeah.
And that was the event that made me kind of alter the course. Up to that point, I was thinking, I'm going to be a fighter. This is the path I'm going to take. And you after something like that, you can't. He actually have implants that can't take much abuse.
Right.
Right. So.
Wow. So many things I want to ask you about that. So that literally changed the course of your life, and you went from potentially being, who knows how far you would have gone as a fighter to win everything there is, to having to become a teacher, because now being a fighter could kill you or disfigure you or something terrible.
That's what they said.
Yeah. Do you remember? Can you describe the emotion or the energy you felt when you realized the significance of what happens? I mean, did you think, was it an aha revelation? Okay, this defining second in time, my life has changed forever?
Well, that probably came later after the event because, I was concerned about the passenger, and there obviously was a lawsuit involved with this. And, those things that's almost like a second wreck.
Yes.
Having to deal with that. And it was a powerful company, and they brought in some pretty big people to be able to counter this thing that was obviously the other guy's fault.
Clearly their fault.
Yes. And, going through that at a young age, that introduces you to the world a little bit.
Yeah.
And then the damages and the injuries that my passenger had, I dealt for that probably for a year. And it's not that I didn't have the thought, but it was later that I actually was like, oh wow, I'm going to have to rethink some things as far as training and the course of life. So it probably hit me a little later after that, just due to everything else that was connected to that event.
And you being the guy that you are and what you're made of, instead of allowing that to be an excuse to surrender and give up and not move forward, you simply made a left turn and decided, I'm going to take all this knowledge and I'm going to make something out of that and still be great, but just help other people be great in the meantime.
Yes. And a lot of that's got to do with the mentors leading up to that moment and how they taught me. Getting out of the car, I can say, had a lot to do with the individuals that mentored me and taught me up to that point.
Yeah.
and not because of a punch or a kick, but because of what they implanted there.
Sure.
Same thing with the choice and path afterwards. It's baseline. Are you a fighter? Are you a warrior? Um, you know, are you going to choose to put your head down and dig into it, regardless of the direction, or sit back, rock on your heels?
Yep. Lean forward.